नमस्कार, आईएएस भारत में आपका स्वागत है। हमारे फ्री क्रैश कोर्स को ज्वाइन करने के लिए गूगल फॉर्म को फिल करें जो कि नीचे डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में दिया गया है। धन्यवाद।
Hello everyone, welcome to IAS Bharat, an initiative of Aram IAS Chennai. Myself Neeraj Nachiketa, I am faculty of Environment and Science and Technology. So now I am going to cover remaining topics of environment for this mains exam. आप सबको पता है कि GS3 के पेपर में एनवायरनमेंट के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, है ना। मैंने पिछले सेशन में भी बताया था कि लगभग आजकल जो है 4-5 क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं। लास्ट ईयर 5 क्वेश्चंस एनवायरनमेंट पे है। सो व्हाट आई वांट टू से, वेदर यू गेट डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन और इनडायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन, बट you have to go to certain topics of environment over the last 1 year or even for 2 years current aspect, because this topic is very dynamic. And in main exam, environmental problems, policy aspect, right, government initiatives, international global initiatives, like for example COP30, Belem carbons in terms of COP, right, climate change summit. So all such areas which make headlines, you need to be aware of it. So I will be going through all those critical areas for examination, which have come in the Hindu paper, Indian Express, Down to Earth, various magazines. We will see them one by one. So let us start from 2 aspects, which one is that pollution aspect. I will be connecting with that. This is a very important in this session. Second, I will be also discussing from climate change perspective, which all topics you need to be prepared for this exam. And third, very important is that from conservation point of view and from part of main exam, EIA, environmental impacts assessment, or what we require environmental clearance in India. So I have in the last session, I have covered a number of topics, but here I will again continue. So if you look at India is at a crossroad. Even world is also crossroad. So India's ecological crossroads, if you look at, on one hand, development, what I ended in the previous session, that Sustainable Development Goals, SDG. To one end, we are talking about in terms of developments, विकसित भारत 2047 का जो सपना है, तो विकसित भारत हम कैसा विकास कर रहे हैं, ऐसा विकास जो कि सस्टेनेबल होना चाहिए, है ना, इंक्लूसिव होना चाहिए, यही गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसी है। और जब आप मेंस लिखेंगे तो आपको पॉजिटिव अप्रोच को दिखाना है, हाँ, लेकिन जो प्रॉब्लम्स है वो प्रॉब्लम्स है, उसको आप डिनाई नहीं कर सकते। अगर आज गार्बेज है या आज कोई भी क्लाइमेट चेंज का इम्पैक्ट इंडिया में हो रहा है, वो रियलिटी है। दैट यू नीड टू ब्रिंग इन योर आंसर, दैट इज नो डाउट अबाउट इट। द प्रॉब्लम एरियाज यू हैव टू हाईलाइट, बट यू हैव टू ऑल्सो ब्रिंग द पॉजिटिविटी in your answer. By if you're criticizing, you're mentioning some gaps, then loopholes, then what are the solutions? How we should fill up the gap, how we should solve the problems. That is very, very important from administration point of view. That's why civil service exam, UPSC exam, this becomes really very, very important. Correct? So we will go into that. So I will take Q&A, question answer, and I discuss topics there. So let us come to one very important topic making headline, that is a Great Nicobar. Now, all these questions, what I'm covering in this session, is from IAS Bharat content 120 plus. Let me show you this. This is the material, 120 plus. So, those of you who are writing mains this year, it is a free of cost available. You can DM us. We will provide first 100 aspirants this printed, this 120 plus thing. And this will really give you a very good aspect, because this 120 plus club has 3 main components. One is a fact sheet, important facts to remember. Second part, question with answers, model answers on the topics which are relevant for the exam. And I'm going to cover such topics in today's session. And third is solved PYQs, previous year questions. That also gives you an idea how to approach question in the exam and write answer. So please don't miss out this 120 plus club of environment. It is available there. So I have picked up from here this topic. You have a model answer here, but I'll discuss that one. Great Nicobar. So let me read the question here. The question is here, the Great Nicobar Mega Infrastructure Project. And you all know that the matter has gone to Supreme Court of India also, right? There's already political debate going on with respect to redevelopment of Great Nicobar, right? So has been cleared despite ecological concerns. This is a statement. Now what is the question? Examine the ecological sensitivity of Great Nicobar Island. So, understanding the demand of the question. What is the question asking? The ecological aspect of Great Nicobar Island. That is what comes here. Examine that. Ecological sensitivity of Great Nicobar. Then critically evaluate the tension between the strategic development, that is one keyword, and environment protection in sensitive areas. Wherever sensitive areas are there. One, we are talking about strategic development, right? You have to critically evaluate it. And second part comes here, the part of the environment protection. So the question is divided into two main parts. One is that environmental sensitivity of Great Nicobar Island. Second, what are the critical acclaim or evaluation of strategic development with the part of environment protection, right? Let's go to the part of it. So let's look at here. So if you look at this part, I will just go to the this Great Nicobar project here. So if you look at, so first thing is that Nicobar Island, you know that, right? Right, Nicobar Island, Great Nicobar, the southernmost island of India, right? Known for biodiversity, rich biodiversity. You have prepared during your prelims time that Biosphere Reserve and UNESCO Man and Biosphere Program, a scientific international program for protection of Biosphere Reserve listed under Man and Biosphere Program. Great Nicobar also comes into that. And you are again aware Andaman Nicobar Island is known for mangrove forest, known for coral reefs, seagrass bed. So when you talk about ecological sensitivity, so what is the first very important thing? That is what type of biodiversity exists, which are important critical ecosystems present in Nicobar Islands, particularly the Great Nicobar. Car Nicobar, Great Nicobar. So if you look at here, this beautiful diagram, the balance. So one end you have part of international maritime route, shipping route, right? Malacca Strait on the way to Sumatra, Java. So it goes through this area. It's a very heavy, busy route, maritime trade. Second thing is the military aspect, because geopolitics, the rising, part of China in Indian Ocean. So even from military point of view, we many times read about piracy, Somalian pirates, Horn of Africa. But there also Malacca Strait also has piracy problem where ships are hijacked. So again, what comes very important? The military aspect of that. Aviation hub. Now slowly that area, Southeast Asia, is very nearby. Indonesia, Malaysia. So short distance geographically. So in terms of reaching there. So these are the developmental priority part of it. So what is the government plan for this clearance? That there will be international transshipment terminal will be built up, right? For vessels, for cargo ships there. Second is that government want to build aviation hub and then military projection there. These are three very important things as part of this mega infrastructure project. Second thing, what we look at, the species found here. Like one of the very important species, what you can see in the photograph, megapode. Nicobar megapode. It's just like a hen. It's an endemic species of bird found in Nicobar Island, megapode. Then, there's coral reefs, presence of coral reefs. And you all know coral reefs harbor rich biodiversity highest level of species you will find in the ocean, marine ecosystem, in the coral reef areas. So again, many type of mollusk, fishes, all these are found there. Then coming to here, very, very important part is seagrass bed, dugong, sea cow found here. Leatherback turtle, which comes for nesting in that area. Mangrove forest, which harbored rich varieties of birds, mammals, reptiles as important ecosystem. Not only that part, Great Nicobar is also home of a very important tribe, primitive tribe of India, Shompen tribe. Nicobaris and Shompen tribe, which lives in this area, vulnerable area. So development in that area, their cultural life, their cultural impacts, that counts very, very important, because we need development, but we should also respect rights of indigenous people. That becomes very, very important. So there, this diagram depicts into that. So zero-sum geography, that means we have to do development because strategically it is very important, economically very important, but we cannot neglect the environment. So we need a midway. What we need? We need a midway to solve the crisis and the problem. So let's look at here. When you look at this question, right? What should be your approach in the answer writing? I'm now coming to that part. So in your answer writing part of it. So introduction. When you start writing the answer, in the introduction, you have to write about Nicobar Islands, particularly highlighting Great Nicobar, southernmost island of India. See, your introduction should not be very lengthy. Let's say if this question is 250 words, 15 marks question, then you have to mention that geographically Great Nicobar is the southernmost island of India, and it is very near to the part of Sunda Strait or Malacca Strait. Right? In an opening sentence, you are briefly discussing in one sentence about its geography. You are also mentioning here that it is a biosphere reserve. It has been declared as one of 18 biosphere reserves of India, and it has been recognized under UNESCO Man and Biosphere Program, MAB program. We have got out of 13 listed into World Network of Biosphere Reserve. In that, Great Nicobar also comes. And you know that Man and Biosphere Program looks into both human cultural values and ecological protection with biodiversity, right? So in your opening thing, you're writing that, right? You're also mentioning here, now if you look at the question, what the question is asking, if you look at the question here, cleared, you're bringing that highlight, which has come in PIB, that recently the government has given the environmental clearance, what is called EIA, clearance of this Great Nicobar redevelopment project there. See, earlier government also has developed that area, but now government want to do it in a mega way, large scale. So, post facto clearance. Another controversy which was that strategic project where we don't require public hearing. When you look at EIA process, public hearing, public consultation is one of the aspect of part of environmental clearance. But those strategic projects are exempted from public hearing, public consultation. So being a strategic project, right, it was cleared. Post facto clearance means the work can start, and meanwhile the EIA process will also begin and submit the report, and then government will see into that and approve it. So that is the one thing which from environmental perspective becomes a negative aspect. right? So we are starting that. Then what is the question asked there? Examine the ecological sensitivity. So when you come to the body of the answer, right? When you come to the body of the answer, so here, so you will be writing first ecological and biodiversity importance of Great Nicobar. So here, what all points will come? You will be talking about mangrove forest, very important coastal ecosystem, swamp and wetland, just like Sundarbans Delta, right? And other places like Bhitarkanika, Pichabaram. We have so many mangrove forests throughout the east and west coast. Even Andaman Nicobar Islands have got rich varieties of mangroves there. So here, mangrove forest as an important ecosystem. Then seagrass bed, which is home of dugong, many type of turtles, right? And then coral reefs. So first you will highlight these are the areas which becomes ecologically sensitive. And shipping industry will have impact, pollution, oil spill, all those issues are there. And now it is also facing the problem of global warming, climate change. Second thing will be coming here. Here's biodiversity. What type of species comes into that? As a man mentioned that megapode, Nicobar megapode there. Then you have a hornbill also, Narcondam hornbill. Then even water monitor lizard. Then I have mentioned dugong is a state animal of Andaman Nicobar, although Andaman Nicobar is a UT, Union Territory. So there what you find here, right? So this one, monitor lizard, laserback turtle, very important one, is a large size, largest marine turtle size wise. Almost it goes to 900 kilogram. The nesting ground of leatherback turtle, right? Many type of birds, many type of species of reptiles, mammals found there, right? Even that Irrawaddy dolphin which migrate to Chilika Lagoon, even they might be part of that journey there. So that comes in. So that means you are highlighting why it is an ecologically sensitive area. That's the first part of the body of the answer, right? Second part, when it comes to second part, critically examine, right? Or critically you have to evaluate. Two things are there. One is this strategic development, which is very much required by the government, right? So one is the transshipment terminal. That expansion is being done, and that is very, very important for India's economy and maritime, trade. And when the economic development will happen in that area, it is also going to benefit the local tribe. So now, when you look at ecological thing here also you mentioned this vulnerability to the tribe also there. Because these are tribes which depends on the local ecosystem, right? They are very much dependent on forest and the forest resource. So let's say for the infrastructure project, if there is deforestation, cutting of mangroves, cutting of forest, that will have direct impact on the Sompen tribe of Great Nicobar. This part also you highlight here. Then here you write that. Then Indian Navy military base from the military point of view, right? Counteracting terrorism, piracy, any kind of maritime illegal trade, that becomes very, very important there, right? That part you have to highlight there. We need this kind of development. Again, the employment for the people out there, right? All this you have to mention that. Second is that this one, environment protection, that we cannot neglect. So how we can do that? So you know that in our country we have something called CAMPA, Compensatory Afforestation Management Planning Authority. So one is that where compensatory afforestation, wherever the trees will be cut, government will go for redevelopment of such area, right? It will result into redevelopment of such area, right? Compulsory afforestation, which government has to do it. Then again, another thing about creating buffer, around ecological sensitive area, ESA, or declaring a ESZ, eco-sensitive zone, around important islands which are rich in biodiversity. Like nowadays we are talking Campbell Island, Havelock Islands. So you can mention those names. Then again, the rights of the local tribe, recognition of rights of primitive tribes there. Their livelihood should not be affected. Their dependence on the forest ecosystem and the nature should not be drastically impacted. So that will come from the part of rehabilitation and resettlement. So you have to mention way forward. You have to mention the kind of a suggestion. That becomes very, very important. And then finally you can conclude your answer. Conclusion. See, I am giving the highlight, how to approach the answer. Positive thing, you have to bring the positive aspect, is that we cannot totally say zero. But yes, we have to also protect the environment as part of the EIA study, so that we are not able to totally destroy the entire pristine environment of Great Nicobar Islands. And then suggest conclusion that it is very important for our own development and the development of island and the people. But according to the EIA report and the suggestions given by expert, we will protect ecological sensitive areas and also the livelihood of the local community. With that, you can end your answer, right? So this is the first thing which I wanted to bring in the discussion part. Correct? And I'm sure, because this is making headline, this can be a probable question in the coming exam, right? Now let's move to the next topic here. Deep sea mining. Another area which is making headline, deep sea mining. See, ocean conservation has become really very, very important. So deep sea mining, let's look at the question here. Deep sea mining is emerging as a new frontier for resource extraction. New frontier for resource extraction. So here the word is the resource extraction. Now what is the question asked? Explain what deep sea mining is. What do you mean by deep sea mining? You have to explain in the answer about deep sea mining. Now what comes? Assess. The word is assess its environmental risks and examine India's interest in deep sea mining, deep sea mineral resource. That means you have to assess what type of risks are there because of deep sea mining. And second part is that we have to also see India's interest in deep sea mineral resources. What type of minerals resources India can obtain through deep sea mining. So it's a very important question which you can connect with earth sciences and also science and technology, right? And I told you that in the previous session that there are questions which are connected with other areas of general studies, and particularly for the environment part, technology part also comes into that. So I will be now coming to that one. Is a very important aspect which need to be understood here. So I have mentioned about deep sea mining there. So deep sea mining is a very, very important topic for this year main examination, right? Okay, let's look at this diagram, right? Deep sea mining. First, let us focus on deep sea mining. Then I'll give you the how to write the model answer. I'll give the model answer there. First is strategic need. why India need to go for deep sea mining? Let me just explain briefly, then I'll give you how to approach the writing about. Is that in the oceans, there are a number of resources. Like one of the very important resources, PMN, polymetallic nodules, which is made up number of metals, cobalt, nickel, and all this, which we can extract. So from metallurgy point of metals requirement. So polymetallic nodules from Central Indian Ocean Basin. Because such kind of metals, critical minerals, we have to import from outside. So in our, this area, Central Indian Ocean Basin, what India has got by International Seabed Authority under UNCLOS, United Nations Convention Law of Seas. Second, operational concept, deployment of mechanical crawlers, harvest mineral aggregators directly, abyssal ocean floor. Third thing is environmental risk, permanent benthic habitat where you have a species, right, they may be affected because of mining. So now let's look at here. Right. So when you look at this question, deep sea mining, the first thing comes the definition. So in your introduction, when you write the answer, you have to explain what is deep sea mining. This question is asked. So, but you will not directly go to the explanation part. First, you will define what is deep sea mining. That is the extraction of living. One is that living and non-living resources. Living and non-living resources from bottom of sea and ocean. Particularly where? Particularly here, such as abyssal. One is the abyssal, deepest part of the ocean, and benthic zone. Bottom of the ocean. And what we do we used technology with the help of advanced technology. राइट, विद एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजी, है ना. अब इसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आप बताएंगे कि इंडिया का जो है एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट फ्लैगशिप मिशन है. जब आप लिख रहे हो आंसर तो ये चीज को बताना है. मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ अर्थ साइंसेस MOES का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट प्रोग्राम है ना, डीप सी माइनिंग से जुड़ा हुआ है, और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का ब्लू इकोनॉमी से जुड़ा हुआ है. समुद्रयान, जैसे हमारा गगनयान मिशन ह्यूमन स्पेस फ्लाइट है, और इसी में आपको पता है कि बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सबमर्सिबल बना है मत्स्य 6000. क्या है ये? जिससे क्रू मॉड्यूल को ले जाता है ना. हियर साइंटिस्ट कैन गो डीप इनटू द ओशन. It can take 3 scientists into the bottom of the ocean. It's a submersible, deep sea submersible. Right? Like a submarine. And why it is called 6000? So that means it can go to 6000 meter depth of ocean. So briefly you can mention in the answer there, right? Then you can talk about that that International Seabed Authority, right? Allocated India, right? What is allocated India? India, this Central Indian Ocean Basin, which lies beyond EEZ. Remember that one area is at exclusive economic zone, 200 nautical miles, but the ocean which is beyond 200 nautical miles, beyond EEZ, what is called high sea or open sea, open ocean, that does not belong to any government, any country. That is regulated by International Seabed Authority, which is a body, international body under UNCLOS, United Nations, right? Convention Law of Seas, India, Central Indian Ocean Basin, for survey, right? Survey of that area, because that is rich in mineral resources, right? And then extraction, right? So this part you have to first bring in your answer. Now comes what? In your answer, environmental impact. When we are going for, see, deep sea, not only metallic, polymetallic modules, right, nodules. So when we talk about here, a lot of things are there. If you look at resources, if you look at deep sea resources, one is a living organism, right? But if you look at minerals here, so one of the very important things is this polymetallic nodule, PMN. Even gas hydrate, that is a hydrated methane, which is rich in methane. Then other minerals, like critical minerals, there may be, such as sulfides, cobalt sulfide, those kind of deposits in, there are submarine volcanoes, thermal vents, which is sulfur part of that. That we can extract there. Again, sometimes the oil and gas reserve there. So, but mostly here this one, PMN, which is very, very important. Government of India has to import. So you are highlighting that one. Then coming to the risk. What are the risks here? So you know that first thing is what? Here, the trawlers, let's say trawler, then sometimes crawler, because you will be extracting, right? Digging, right? This type of thing, right? What will happen there? Cause, one is this one, noise pollution. Then dredge, benthic zone. They will just, in terms of that, this kind of instrument, which will, just like there, will extract. And you know that it will have a direct cause pollution, noise pollution, other pollution. Then again, negatively impact marine life. Marine biodiversity, because we think that bottom of the ocean doesn't have life. It is the wrong notion. Even the bottom of the ocean we have chemosynthetic form of life, other forms of life. Although you know that area is dark, there is no sunlight. But there are other type of living organism found there. I'll give very good examples. Sea starfish, sea urchin, sea cucumber. They're found in the benthic zone. Right? So there will be ecological damage to that area. That you can mention here in the answer. Right? And then what is the question asking? That it's environmental risk that you are writing there. Examine India's interest deep sea mineral. So India's interest is what? India's interest is that for import dependence, where such PMN can really help. And again, the geopolitical scenario where we have to look for hydrocarbons. So that can be met from such deep ocean. Natural gas, gas hydrate. From gas hydrate we can have the part. So India's, if you look at this thing. So that is where the national need. So from economic point of view, it becomes very important. National need of the country will reduce the import. These minerals which we have to reduce import dependence. 2-3 point. And given that this geopolitical thing that where we have to suffer with supply chain of energy and energy crisis resources that can be taken care by this kind of a mining. But yes, it will have ecological impact, biodiversity impact, right, in the ocean. So that is another thing we have to have, that's called crossroad. We have to balance both the things there, right? So that's what comes into that. And with that, you can end your answer with a conclusion. You can give the conclusion there. हाँ ना, आप उसको एंड कर सकते हो कंक्लूजन के साथ कि ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि इंडिया को है ना लॉन्ग टर्म अपना विजन रखना है, तो हमें ये ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि हम ऐसे जगह पे और या ऐसे टेक्नोलॉजी यूज करना चाहिए कि ना यू कैन सजेस्ट देयर कंक्लूजन पार्ट, you can suggest there what is something called way forward. What is very, very important here? One thing is that survey, proper survey of eco-sensitive areas. Right? We should not damage where the more living organism in that area found, that it should not be damaged. Then again, use of clean technology, which will not pollute the ocean there, bottom of the ocean, right? Safe extraction, what is something called, and safe extraction technology, advanced technology, that you can suggest as a way forward, right? Then this one, EIA study should be done, even it should be brought for this part of it, although it is in international water, right, regulated by International Seabed Authority, but there has to be some international mechanism to see that marine life is not affected, right? Marine life, marine biodiversity conservation should be always given the priority. With that, you can end your answer. Conclusion cannot be very lengthy. Again, some few points. With that, you can end up your answer, right? So I hope this is another topic which you should prepare for the exam, and you can get the question there. All right. So now I'm coming to the next question here. Scheduled tribes and forest dwelling communities, very important here from the exam. Scheduled tribes and forest dwelling communities have historically been, displaced by large mining projects. The tribal population, indigenous people, they have suffered because of mining. Odisha, Jharkhand, right? All those mining areas, you know that, which have the forest and important ecosystems, but also have their indigenous local tribes. They've been affected there. Examine. See what is question here? Critically examine the social and environmental cost. Social cost, environmental cost of such displacement, right? That you have to critically examine. Comment on whether India's rehabilitation policies are adequately address this problem. Then you have to comment, give your opinion that whether India's policy of rehabilitation adequately address this problem. बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है ये, एग्जाम में पूछा जा सकता है. कई बार आप देखते हो प्रोटेस्ट वगैरह जो होता है, अभी जैसे इंटरलिंकिंग ऑफ रिवर्स केन एंड बेतवा इन मध्य प्रदेश है ना, which is going to affect Panna Tiger Reserve. Now the people are protesting against this project of interlinking of rivers केन एंड बेतवा इन मध्य प्रदेश. तो वो भी एक है. उससे पहले भी बहुत सारे प्रोटेस्ट हुए डिफॉरेस्टेशन फॉरेस्ट के लिए, है ना. दिस इज अनदर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग विच you should know. So what I'll do here, let's look at here, when you talk about forest conservation, right, where our policy should be always looking from that perspective here, right? So let me see here this one. Deforestation, right, and causing to displacement. The cost of extraction, mining, human displacement. So with photograph, I'm trying to give you this. The historically uprooting scheduled tribes by mega mining project. What is social cost? Impact on the local tribe, their livelihood. So, irreversible loss of cultural identity and traditional knowledge. When they're displaced from their place, for them, forest is a sacred home of the deity, what we call sacred groves. They're linked very much, deeply linked with their traditional knowledge and also their customs, beliefs, practices, religion. राइट पॉलिसी के एस्पेक्ट में हमें अब माइनिंग भी हमें चाहिए, माइनिंग भी करना है, लेकिन साथ साथ में ये चैलेंज आता है कि वहाँ पर जो ऐसे आदिवासी हैं या जनजाति हैं, उनका घर है वहाँ और वो पूजा करते हैं वैसे फॉरेस्ट को, वन देवता बोलते हैं, है ना। अब अगर आप छोटा नागपुर प्लेटू झारखंड में जाएंगे तो वहाँ बहुत सारे ऐसे सारना या ऐसे पवित्र वन हैं और वहाँ उनकी मान्यता के अनुसार वहाँ भगवान होते हैं जिसकी पूजा पाठ करते हैं, सैक्रेड ग्रुप्स होते हैं। अब बात केवल झारखंड की नहीं है, उड़ीसा में मैं बहुत अच्छा एग्जांपल देता हूँ, नियमगिरी बॉक्साइट माइनिंग, वेदांता प्रोजेक्ट, अनिल अग्रवाल्स कंपनी वेदांता प्रोजेक्ट ऑफ माइनिंग ऑफ बॉक्साइट वेयर नियमगिरी हिल्स. So in the Niyamgiri hills, Dongariya Kond, what is the name of tribe? Dongariya Kond. They worship Niyamgiri, right? They worship their Niyam Raja, king of Niyamgiri, their deity. उनकी पूजा करते हैं. उनका मानना है कि ये जो पहाड़ है नियमगिरी, जहां उनका देवता नियम राजा है, उनको है ना, उनको बचाना चाहिए. तो अभी हाल ही में वेदांता प्रोजेक्ट को लेकर काफ़ी सालों से EIA पे कई प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट हुए हैं, एनवायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट, ये सब आप केस स्टडी दे सकते हो, एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हो आंसर में, तो कई सारे उसमें हुए हैं, है ना. उसके बाद भी गवर्नमेंट का अप्रूवल आया, कुछ कुछ उसमें दिया गया. अब वहाँ पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट में मामला गया तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि लेट द पीपल डिसाइड वेदर दे वांट द माइनिंग और नॉट. तो वहाँ के गांव वालों ने मिलकर, जो ट्राइबल विलेज होते हैं, उन्हें डिसाइड किया कि हमें माइनिंग नहीं चाहिए, वी डोंट वांट माइनिंग, है ना. दिस इज अ वेरी लैंडमार्क केस आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट, कि हमें माइनिंग नहीं चाहिए, हमारे लिए नियम राजा बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, ना कि माइनिंग. जबकि गवर्नमेंट का कहना है कि वहाँ पर उस लोगों का डेवलपमेंट होगा, एम्प्लॉयमेंट होगा, सारा कुछ होगा. लेकिन क्या है कि वैसे शेड्यूल्ड ट्राइब्स और जैसे प्रिमिटिव ट्राइब्स बहुत डीपली अटैच्ड होते हैं अपने इकोसिस्टम के साथ, ये फैक्ट है. क्लियर. सो व्हाट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज दैट पॉलिसी गैप देयर, वी मस्ट respect the ecological sensitivity of that area and also the rights of the indigenous people. That is very, very important. People's participation in development is a very important thing. Now let's look at here. Current rehabilitation policies focus heavily on one-time financial compensation. एक बार financial compensation दे दो, फिर काम खत्म. केवल पैसे से काम नहीं चलेगा ना, पैसे के साथ साथ उनको प्रॉपर रिहेबिलिटेशन चाहिए. चलो हमने रिहेबिलिटेशन भी करा दिया, बट व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम देयर? प्रॉब्लम है दे विल लूज दैट वैल्यू ना, दैट फॉरेस्ट, दैट हिल, दैट इज लॉस्ट ना, इरिवर्सिबल डैमेज, वो तो वापस नहीं आएगा, दैट विल नॉट कम बैक, राइट. सो वन टाइम दे सिस्टमेटिकली फेल टू रिस्टोर सस्टेनेबल लॉन्ग टर्म लाइवलीहुड. Even you give one time financial compensation, this one, but what will happen? That money will be again spent one day. Again, those tribes suffer with land alienation plus poverty and unemployment. It becomes a direct threat to those type of tribes, vulnerable tribes. So when you are writing answer, right, जब आप आंसर लिखते हैं, ठीक है, तो इस क्वेश्चन का जो आंसर है, इसको आपको ध्यान रखना है कि योर आंसर शुड बी ए बैलेंस्ड वन. आंसर बैलेंस होना चाहिए, आंसर नैरो नहीं होना चाहिए, पैरोकियल नहीं होना चाहिए. इट शुड गिव दैट काइंड ऑफ अ फील दैट यू आर गोइंग टू बिकम फ्यूचर IAS ऑफिसर, सिविल सर्वेंट फ्रॉम द पॉलिसी. हाउ डू यू सी द गैप्स इन पॉलिसी? how you're going to implement it. Sometimes you know that the question can be asked in GS for this ethics paper. You'll be asked a case study to examine, right? So in this question, scheduled tribe forest dwellers, there's historical displacement. So critically examine the social and environmental cost and then adequate policy thing. So first what you'll do, in this question, in your introduction, I'm giving the key points here. क्या क्या चीजें आपको हाईलाइट करना है. First very important thing which you will highlight here, that is first very important thing which I'm putting out here, that is you'll be writing about this scheduled tribes and other forest dwellers in India. So they are deeply rooted with their local ecosystem, especially forest. And here you mention, give the example of sacred groves. उसके बारे में एग्जाम्पल आप दो. सैक्रेड फॉरेस्ट के बारे में बताओ कि सैक्रेड फॉरेस्ट पवित्र बना. That you can mention that. Then what is thing here? Second thing is that, FRA, Forest Rights Act, right? Government has recognized such, tribes, scheduled tribes and other forest dwellers, right? Its complete name is Scheduled Tribes and Other Forest Dwellers, recognition of their rights, recognition of rights, which is implemented by Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Act is a very long act. After long time of injustice to such tribes, particularly land alienation, land ownership, right? Now we have a parliamentary law to recognize the land ownership, patta, in those areas, and which can sometimes forceful eviction done by the forest department in absence of documentary proof whether they are settled there. Sometimes they may not have patta or such kind of land rights, but they may be living there for hundreds and hundreds of years. The lot of matter has gone to Supreme Court of India, Apex Court, which has given the guidelines to the state government to look into that. So that you have to bring that, right? And then here briefly mention that mining project, right? Mining project cause what? Cause deforestation. One is deforestation, loss of wildlife, critical wildlife is lost. Then pollution, health impact, etc. And here you give examples. Let's say wherever the mining areas are there, let's say Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal, even the South India, you give the examples here. So this is where your introduction is all about. This is where your introduction you will be writing that. Right? Is it clear to everyone? Now in the body of your answer. So here the body, the two parts are there. One is a social cost. Right? So what is social cost? So one is the land alienation. Such tribe will be evicted from their native lands, right? Native place. Second is what? Loss of livelihood. Because the forest was not only a living place for them, but also provided the resources for survival. So again, loss of resources which they were having. And sometimes PTVT, the primitive tribe, primitive vulnerable tribes, they depend on the forest food, forest resource. शिकार भी करते हैं, वहीं का कंदमूल खाते हैं, उसी से अपनी आजीविका जीवन रहता है वो. उन बेचारों का तो वो सब खत्म हो जाता है। अब जरावा जैसे है या बहुत सारे ऐसे ट्राइब है जो कि वल्नरेबल ट्राइब्स है छत्तीसगढ़ में, कई जगह एमपी में, तो उन बेचारों का तो बहुत दिक्कत है, राइट। सो दैट लॉस ऑफ रिसोर्सेस। देन अगेन व्हाट, लॉस ऑफ कल्चरल वैल्यूज। प्लीज राइट दिस वन, वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, that whatever the cultural values they have got, and here you can give the example, right. You can give the example of Niyamgiri, a very good example. Niyamgiri hills in Odisha, and particularly for that Dungariya Kond, and here you can mention that bauxite mining, Vedanta company. Is a very good example which you can quote in your answer. They will also affect with health problem, because mining is very hazardous. Sometimes the kind of emission what happens from the mine area plus land pollution, if they are doing some kind of farming or some kind of thing around that area, that fertility will be lost. So that is another thing there, right. And then environmental cost, if you look at here, social and environmental cost. So environmental cost here, when it comes to environmental cost, so you can write here, second thing will be environmental cost. And here you can mention that loss of habitats of wildlife, let's say tiger, elephant, they will lose their place of living. Their habitats will be lost, right. So habitat loss will be there, and that will be again loss of what will happen there? Not only there, loss of biodiversity, wildlife there, the loss of this very important thing will be that this survival, another survival thing, the loss of species, extinction. Because of mining, it will drive, and sometimes may be critically endangered. Sometimes they may be critically endangered bird or animals, and those critically endangered birds and animals may become extinct in near future. Right? So that you can highlight here. Right? Then disturbance to ecological balance, and what will cause there? Because the trees and forest protect from flood, drought. So here, what is very important here, loss of ecosystem services. What I discussed in the previous session, that provisioning services, the food, timber, medicine, regulating services, climate moderation, control of flood, drought. If the forest is lost, that will be part of it, right? Supporting services, soil formation, carbon cycle, water cycle, nutrient cycle, cultural services, that I have already mentioned that, right? So you can write that in your body of the answer point wise, and you can give examples. और फिर क्या है क्वेश्चन का आंसर में? अब देखो क्वेश्चन क्या लिखा है, कमेंट ऑन वेदर इंडियाज रिहेबिलिटेशन पॉलिसीज आर एडुकेटली एड्रेस दैट. तो व्हाट विल बी नेक्स्ट पार्ट हियर? तो नेक्स्ट पार्ट व्हेन यू राइट हियर इंडियाज rehabilitation policy, whether it is adequate or not, right? So here you will write about this one, FRA, Forest Rights Act, Scheduled Tribe and Forest, where land ownership to tribal population there, right? Then in terms of rehabilitation, if government acquire such kind of forest land for and give it for mining lease, then rehabilitation and resettlement. And under this act, it is said that right? With all basic amenities, school, drinking water, right? Hospitals, they're given land, houses. This all government has to do that. The company which is going for mining has to provide that, right? All basic amenities, right? Then compensation of the land. But what you will highlight that most of cases, two things happen there. Again, when you write about Act and the policy, Forest Conservation Act 1980 also you can mention there. But what is the first thing here? You have to highlight problem also. What are the challenges, problems and the gaps there, challenges there. Like, forceful eviction. It has happened in Madhya Pradesh, in Chhattisgarh. Right? Baiga tribe, Baiga. Matter went to the apex court, Supreme Court of India. Then they asked the director government the forceful eviction. Then again, what is the problem there? One-time compensation. But what they do, they will give the compensation. But what is the problem there? Other things, basic amenities which they require for survival, proper rehabilitation plan, resettlement plan, and that implementation may be lacking. So that 3-4 issues you have to highlight, right? What about their cultural values which they will lose it permanently? अब वो पेड़ जो पूजा करते थे वो पेड़ ही काट दिया तो वो बेचारे कहाँ पेड़ की पूजा करेंगे? फिर तो वो आर्टिफिशियल हो गया ना कि वो पेड़ लगा के वो पूजा कर रहे हैं. जो उनका नेचुरल था, उनके पूर्वज है ना, वो करते आए थे, वो तो खत्म कर दिया आपने फॉरेस्ट. तो राइट अबाउट दोस टाइप कल्चरल लॉस, दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. And then you end your answer with the suggestion. You suggest that, है ना, there you bring the suggestion that yes, we should not, like those who are very, if you look at here conclusion part here, or what is called way forward. So what you will write here? You will be mentioning here first thing that proper rehabilitation thing is not that one time payment of the given, right? That is not going to help, right? Policy and plan implementation. Foolproof there. Not only money, not only financial thing. Second, safeguarding this one. And particularly vulnerable tribal groups, PBTG, or forest dependent, who are forest dependent. They live in the forest. If they go out of the forest, their survival will be a problem. Abuj Maria, Chenchus, Jarava. You give example there. Dongriya Kon, all this example you can give that. Third, right, better implementation of EIA report where, mitigation, whatever the mitigation part is there, right, government mitigation. See, whenever the EIA report is prepared, it is not that EIA report only have impacts, air pollution, land pollution, water pollution, loss of forest, wildlife. It is not that. It also consists of very important thing, that is a mitigation part of it, which the company which is doing the mining has to fulfill. So that part you have to write about this, right? EIA report there. Then this one, social impact assessment. Because the land is lost, so social impact assessment, right? Right, proper done, and then the proper implementation of the report. So that you can suggest as a way forward for your answer. That will be giving you the marks. You will be able to get the marks in the exam. आप जब अच्छे पॉइंट्स लिखेंगे ना तभी तो मार्क्स मिलेगा ना. और वो कोई जनरल आंसर नहीं होना चाहिए, कॉन्क्रीट वर्ड यूज करो। सोशल इंपैक्ट असेसमेंट जो किया जाता है प्रॉपर उसको करना चाहिए, उसका जो भी इंप्लीमेंटेशन होना बहुत जरूरी है। हम रिसेटलमेंट में रिहेबिलिटेशन का प्रॉपर प्लान बनाएं, केवल पैसे देने से काम नहीं चलेगा। तो आपके पॉइंट पे दम होना चाहिए, और दम रहेगा तो मार्क्स मिलेगा, है ना। तो वैसा चीज है, राइट। दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन विच आई हैव डिस्कस्ड फॉर द कमिंग मेंस एग्जाम. Now coming to this next one, right? Mind closure. Right? Define mind closure and explain the process of land reclamation after mining. After mine closure, how we reclaim the land. Critically analyze why mine closure is often neglected in India. One is that we are talking mining and displacement of the local people and all this. Second is that after the mining is done, proper mine closure, right? So that part is another very important topic for main exam, where you can get the question, right? So let us go into that one. So first thing here, in this question, right? In this question, same thing. Now look at here. What I was discussing right now here, there's mine closing here. Right? So let us go into that. Mine closure, let me write here, this one. How do we look into the part of, in terms of, so I'll come to the man there. So let us go into the man, this one, mine closure. A very important topic. So what do you have to do in introduction part? Clearly defined. What is mine closure? After extraction of a mineral, whatever fossil fuel like coal or maybe metallurgical thing, minerals from mining, right? What is very important? The last stage of closing the mine in a safe and eco-friendly manner. ये लास्ट पार्ट आता है माइनिंग का. पहला लीज मिला, माइनिंग किया, डिगिंग किया, रिसोर्सेज निकाला, सारा कुछ है. अब जब वो एंड होना है तो उसको क्लोज करना होता है, तो उसके लिए माइन क्लोजर प्लान होते हैं. द कंपनी, माइनिंग कंपनी हैज टू कम आउट विथ माइन क्लोजर प्लान. And this is very, very important from environmental management aspect, where the mine has to be properly restored. So that part will be there. Then you will be in the body part, you will be explaining that. Okay, how this one. So what is here? After the closure, the closure report, what is that? The land is reclaimed. By first thing is what? Filling up and closing it with the soil. Next what comes? Next, afforestation. By planting trees, making it greener. Right, so here let's say there is a mine, so this will be closed, will be properly closed here. And then here the trees and forests can be done there. Sometimes you know that there may be mine, let's say for example, open cast mine, which is surface level. So this water will be cleaned. Convert into lake or reservoir with clean water, right? And then what can be there? Promotion of tourism. It will convert into park, some kind of garden. Same land can be put into some other use for some other development. So there's already a plan for that, which they have to do. But what is the problem? Proper implementation. That is not that much. उसका सही ढंग से इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होता नहीं है. और अगर आप माइंड क्लोजिंग प्रॉपर वे से नहीं करते हैं, वो रिस्की भी है. देयर कैन बी एक्सीडेंट, राइट? एंड द इन्वायरमेंट डैमेज तो हो चुका है माइनिंग से, लेकिन वो क्या है, वो एरिया रिस्टोर नहीं हुआ है, तो वो ऐसे ही पड़ा रहता है. वो एरिया जो उसका जो एस्थेटिक एस्पेक्ट है वो खराब हो चुका है माइनिंग की वजह से. अब वो वैसे ही पड़ा हुआ है. वो माइनिंग करके चले गए, वो ऐसे ऐसे पड़ा हुआ, डंप पड़ा हुआ, डंप यार्ड है, सब कुछ पड़ा हुआ है ना. वो बैड वेदर हो, कई बार विंड कैरीज आउट द पार्टिकल्स कॉजिंग द हेल्थ हैजर्ड टू द नियर बाई पीपल देयर. वो माइनिंग के टाइम भी था, उसके माइनिंग के बाद भी है, वो बंद नहीं हुआ. दोस टाइप रिस्क कर दे जो वहाँ के पड़े हुए डंप यार्ड वगैरह जो होते हैं, है ना, उसको प्रॉपर नहीं रिहेबिलिटेट, प्रॉपर वे से नहीं किया, उसको ग्रीनिंग नहीं किया, उसको प्रॉपर उसको डिस्पोज नहीं किया. तो दैट यू हैव टू हाईलाइट देयर इन योर आंसर देयर. लेट्स से इट्स अ 250 वर्ड्स क्वेश्चन, राइट? तो यू हैव टू एक्सप्लेन दैट वन. दिस इज व्हाट द आंसर इज आस्किंग, क्वेश्चन इज आस्किंग. क्रिटिकल एनालाइज माइंड क्लोजर neglection is neglected in India. So there you will highlight that and then you will conclude. जो आपका conclude होगा आंसर, conclusion में way forward you suggest that proper mind closure plan to be developed, and you can say that it should be made mandatory, compulsory to reclaim land and convert into some other use. It has to be made mandatory. You can give suggestion. It should be made mandatory under the act, under the law. And you know that we have a Environment Protection Act 1986. Or where the Mining Act there, or in the EIA rules and guidelines, it should be made compulsory. So that you can highlight here, right? ये part को आप यहाँ पर highlight कर सकते हैं. Clear there? So that will really help. This is going to help you, right, in proper way, and you can end the answer here, right? Now let's go on to the next one. Next question here, climate change. Right? Let's look at this question here. Climate change is increasingly affecting public health worldwide. So it is a question, is another one, because you know heat wave and all this affecting public health worldwide. Climate change. Now explain linkage between climate change and public health in India. You have to write from the India's perspective. Although now Europe has faced a lot of heat wave in the last few years, and even this year it has faced there. Examine what India needs. See here, what India needs to do to protect its population from this health impacts of global warming, of a warming climate. So it's a very good question here. Climate change increasingly affecting public health, that part of it. So what you can do here in this question, right? In this question here, so you have to bring about, right, in this context, I'll just see that if there's something, I have a slide, then I can show you that. Okay. let me come to the writing part of it. So what is the question here? Climate change impacts and public health, right? There is a topic on which the question has been asked. So what is, and you have to write from India's perspective. So what you can do in introduction? So you will write first about, climate change, impact on India. First you can write in general that impacts, and here you will write example heat wave. One is the heat wave. Second, you know that not only heat wave, even waterborne diseases like wherever the flooding happens in coastal areas or whichever waterborne diseases spread. Vector-borne diseases like malaria, dengue, even cholera, leptospirosis, wherever the flooding will be there. You can give example of Kerala flood. After Kerala flood, people suffered with this type problem there. Then you can mention that zoonotic diseases. But what is happening there? One of the very important impact of climate change is what? Wildfire, forest fire. So what happened in forest fire? The wild animals come out of their habitat. And such animals which are host of viruses. Now in this context, even if you want to write, you can write that zombie virus, zombie. It is found in deep into ice, Siberia, Arctic. Right? Scientists have found in the frozen state ancient viruses and very deadly hazardous viruses, what you call zombie virus. So what will happen when the permafrost, what is something called? They have extracted from permafrost. When because of global warming, permafrost melt. So this virus will come out and cause a disease to humans. So there are multiple angles are there. Disease when you talk, multiple angles are there. So there you can mention that in general what is the problem. And now second thing, what comes in introduction? So that is a health crisis. Right? Health crisis triggered by climate change. Right? Where the people are there suffering with that part there. Right? Now body of the answer, since you have to write from India's perspective. So here, India's public health. So first you can give the example here what I said. You can write there during summer, right? Extreme summer, when temperature goes very, very high, 45 degree, right? Even more than that, 47, 48 degrees Celsius. So people are dying with heat wave. Heat wave death, then strokes. You can give example of Rajasthan, Gujarat, Ahmedabad, Delhi, many places we are suffering with severe heat waves during the summer. Then you can say that, give the example of urban flooding, right? And you can give example Jammu flood, Chennai flood, Kerala flood, all those flood. So there, this one water, leptospirosis, one disease, leptospirosis, the disease which is a concern. Other diseases you can mention that, right? Second, you can write here, our health infrastructure is not adequate. Our health infrastructure is not adequate to handle such kind of a public health crisis there, triggered by climate change. Right? We need a proper health infrastructure. Right? Inadequate there. See, mostly when we look at diseases, in our hospitals and centers, we look into communicable and non-communicable diseases. Mostly communicable diseases, TB, malaria and all those kind of things are there. But heat wave related, stroke and death, we have very limited capacity, manpower, doctors, right? So that we require there. And then you can have a suggestion here. When we have a conclusion or way forward, so here you can suggest there that we need to public health care, right, should address such health issues there triggered by climate change, right? And particularly where the vulnerable areas, where the focus on vulnerable areas where people are suffering with such kind of a diseases triggered through climate change, identifying such hotspots, then taking all the remedial measures to address such problems. That you can write in the conclusion and end the answer there, right? So I hope this is clear to everyone and you will be able to write this answer there, right? Now I'm coming to this one. Another very important question. Climate, climate refugee. Describe the concept of climate refugees, right? And then analyze how climate change is expected to increase displacement of people in South Asia, from South Asia point of view, and with special reference to India. South Asia and special reference to India. Climate change refugees, another thing, which UN reports continuously warning that more and more people getting displaced because of climate change impacts. So let me bring the dimensions here, because this can be a question in your coming mains exam, right? Let us go into that. It's a very, very important from exam point of view. Let me discuss that, right? So the topic here, the question is the climate change refugees or climate refugees. So when you write answer in the introduction, you write there, mention the UN report. And if you have a data, then you can mention the data also there. UN report, flag, this humanitarian crisis. Of climate refugees. It is said that by mid of the century, 2050, right, at least the report is saying 1/3 of global population will be climate refugee. It's a very severe kind of data. So, and here you can give example like Darfur, right? This violence, political violence created through this displacement because of desertification, land degradation and desertification in Sahara, sub-Sahara region and the part of Africa where the people are forced to migrate. And that leads to the political crisis and violence and killing. Darfur crisis is this violence is one angle is the ethnic aspect, political reason. And second angle is the climate induced displacement of the people. And then this violence, right? So that you can give as example. Then you can give here that climate change impacts. So in the body of the answer, and here you can also mention that India is also vulnerable. India is also facing this challenge of displacement. That will be your introduction. Now body of the answer, now you highlight climate change impacts, like you can mention that desertification. See, refugee will be what? Two types, inside the country or going outside the country. So that means they are displaced people, forced migration. What is called impact? What is called forced migration and displacement, and that is because of the climate change impacts. So you can mention desertification. Second, you can mention about, you all know that this sea level rise, coastal areas, where sea level rise is there. Coastal flooding, right? Island will sink. So those people will migrate somewhere, right? Desertification, land degradation, like Gujarat, Rajasthan, there the people have to more because there's no drought, drought condition. Even this flood, flash flood, and all this which is happening there, and drought condition. So they will not be able to grow any kind of food, and for survival they have to leave from that area to other areas. So you have to, with the impact, you have to mention their displacement, what causes displacement. That will be one part of it. Second, you have to highlight South Asia crisis there. So here you can mention Bangladesh, let's say Sundarban, India's Sundarban and Bangladesh Sundarban. And what is happening now? Sea level rise is happening. If you look at Bangladesh Sundarban area, even India's Sundarban islands, right, in Bay of Bengal, the islands are sinking there. They are going under the water. So you can mention Bangladesh Sundarban, right, submergence, that is what called sea level rise. Even you can give an example of Maldives. Maldives island is made of atoll that is sinking there. See, question is about South Asia, sinking islands. Maldives is very good example. Then mountainous area like Bhutan, Nepal, cloud burst. Even you can write cloud burst, glacier lake outburst. That is affecting where? Mountainous people. So they will also migrate to plain areas, right? So in your body of answer, you will be writing that this cloud burst and all this impacting Bhutan, Himalayan range of India, Nepal, Sikkim, glacier lake outburst, Sikkim, Lonak Lake in Sikkim, that you will highlight there, right? So that will become a very, very important part of your thing there. Then what you will be writing in the answer, that this is a crisis, this is a public crisis. See, if you look at the question, what is saying that there's increasing displacement of people in South Asia. So that you will give the example, Bhutan, Nepal, Himalayan range, right, vulnerable area, Sikkim as example, special reference to India. Then you can write about Sikkim, that Lonak Lake, South, you can say here, South Lonak Lake. If we look at India's then bodies of the answer, India's context, South Lonak Lake, that glacial lake outflow. Then Tapovan Dam in Uttarakhand. Then Kedarnath tragedy. These are Himalayan range suffering there. Then you can give example of here desertification in India. And very good example you can give in Rajasthan, where the people are forced to migrate to urban areas. Gujarat, wherever the drought conditions are there. Then also you can write India's Sundarban and coastal areas, Sundarban Island. Right? Suffering with what? Suffering with the sea level rise. SLR. And also what? Cyclones. Every year, Bay of Bengal, cyclones. Even you can give example of Odisha. And then you can even write here, like mega cities of India, like Chennai, Mumbai, which are coastal, Kolkata, right? Impact. And you know that there is urbanization. People are going to mega cities like Mumbai, Chennai and all. But now, they are coastal areas getting affected because of the climate change impacts. But still, that carrying capacity of urban growth has already reached a tipping point. And then finally, you can conclude your answer. That when we look at refugee crisis, right, you can write a conclusion that what is the conclusion here? Under normal international law, we talk about people who are displaced because of war, conflict, right? They are called refugees. But under international refugee law, climate refugees need to be recognized. The first thing you write here, that international level there. to be recognized, way forward there. And they should also get the same right what refugees now who take asylum to other countries because of war or some kind of ethnic violence. Same thing, the climate refugees should also be given the protection. The rights should be recognized, human rights should be recognized, should be given asylum, should be given all the needs what they require for survival. In India, we don't have law, right? The unfortunate thing is that Indian law, we don't have to look into such refugee thing there. And India has abstained from international UN Convention on Refugees. The first thing is that international level we are not have signed that. And second is that we don't have a national framework to deal with such kind of refugees in future. In future will happen, more and more such refugees will be there. So what you write as a way forward? That we need to have a framework, guidelines to address such climate refugees. So India needs, right? Indian guidelines should be there. That way you can end your answer. Right? That way you can end your answer. Let's say it is a long question, 250 words. Guidelines on climate refugees required. Is the need of the hour. Right? It's a very good question, very good topic where you can get question that I have explained here. And you can write by yourself. आप अपने से भी लिख सकते हो, अपने पॉइंट्स भी रख सकते हो, उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है ना, जहाँ पर आपके सारे पॉइंट्स वगैरह आ जाएंगे. ठीक है, let me discuss few topics there. I have discussed certain questions, but let me discuss few topics which may be important for the exam, right? And there can be questions based on that, where questions can be asked. So now, West, pollution part. In the main exam, you get question on pollution. So if you see here, one of the very important part of question you could expect about electronic waste, right? E-waste. You know that India is a third rank in the world in terms of electronic waste, e-waste generation. And we have a e-waste handling and management rules, right, which we have amended in recent time, 2023. So you know that e-waste, you have to prepare with that provision of rules, CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board. So here we have what is something called EPR, Extended Producers Responsibility. That means those who are producers, brand owners, manufacturers have to collect back electronic waste and go for recycling. So remember that this hazard, e-waste contain heavy metal leaching, lead, mercury, soil and water. And that can enter the food chain caused by concentration, by magnification. So EPR rules are well designed, but undermined by thriving a unregulated informal sector. There is India's waste collection, right, and disposal. We have an informal sector of kabadi walas and all this. So that also need to come into the regulatory frame and under the normal, streamlined kind of thing. So that is what required. Now 40% of the e-waste which gets kind of properly, recycled, adequately done there. Then second is the biomedical waste. Another topic where you can get the question in the exam about biomedical waste, right? That can be the part of the question there. India is generating a lot of biomedical waste. You all know that biomedical waste generation is a very, very severe thing. And in that context here, biomedical waste, right, causes a lot of hazards. What are hazards here? Severe infection, and sometimes how the biomedical waste is treated? Incinerator, when we burn it. So when we burn it, so what it causes there? It created the toxic fuel, gases going to the atmosphere. That creates the problem there. So framework adequacy, that is that we have a 2016 BMW, that is biomedical waste management rules is the strict color coding, bar coding, demonstrating high relative maturity. So 80% score, that means we are 80%, we are doing the biomedical waste kind of handling there, right? So that is very, very important here, correct? So now what comes here? Marine pollution, marine plastic, Great Pacific garbage has now become a big menace. And plastic and microplastic, and now microplastic entering human body is now a big concern there. So in this context, if you look at this terrestrial runoff and maritime dumping, and rivers bring this plastic all west to the sea and ocean, and Great Pacific garbage is one of the big concern. So now ocean cleanup. So you know that when the it will go, plastic thing will go to the ocean, and the microplastic will enter into the fish and other type of marine organism, and they will be affected. So now government of India has also has brought this plastic waste management rules and banned single-use plastic, right? And again, EPR has been brought, extended producer responsibility. That means those plastic items what we are using, the manufacturers and all, they have to collect back and recycle the plastic. Now, in the market, biodegradable plastic has come up, right? Paper being used, right? Other alternatives are being used. All waste management rules always remember 3R: reduce, reuse, recycle. And also circular economy. Right from the production till the disposal, we have to minimize pollution and emission. So this is another area which you have to prepare there. So you know that ecosystem effects, devastating entanglement rates of the animals in the marine area when the plastic goes there. Sometimes they can block the marine life, they can digestion, and then microplastics can accumulate in the food web. So if you look at 30% adequacy score, that means if you look at marine pollution caused by plastic, it has been neglected. The governments have not taken so much care to recover those plastic and do that. There is a non-government initiative called Ocean Cleanup that is working on that. So what is very important here, whatever you are preparing, so waste management, there you can get the question in the exam, and what you have to do, all the rules you have to get into that. And I'm highlighting here, one is electronic waste, right? Then biomedical waste. Right? Another plastic waste, because Government of India Center Pollution Control Board under Environment Protection Act, we have already brought that. Then what has come now? Battery. Because the government is promoting electric vehicles, the battery waste, right? There's another thing which recently government has brought there. So please make sure that you are going through the rules, right? And the provisions. वहाँ पर क्वेश्चन आ सकता है, इसको आप देख लेंगे, क्योंकि क्वेश्चन अगर डायरेक्ट आएगा तो वहाँ पर आपको प्रोविजंस को लिखना होगा. You have to write the provisions on this one. Let's suppose out of 4 or 5 questions, if you get one, then you have to do that part of writing there, right? ये बहुत important है. Now let's move on to the next part of it, which I would like to highlight here. Net zero emission. India's climate change commitment, right, which we have placed that by 2070, we will go for net zero. That means our emission will be balanced by absorption. You know that last year in the main exam, CCUS was asked, carbon capture, utilization and storage topic was asked. So this year, this could be another very important thing. If you look at net zero target, see what all the things where you can get a question here. Let me highlight the few things here. First thing comes here, India's NDC, nationally determined contributions, right, under Paris Agreement, right? That Paris Agreement, right, our commitment. And in this context, Panchamrit. 5 targets what Government of India has set up there under climate change there. And this Panchamrit, that first is that we have now revised our target to 45%, right, reduction of greenhouse gases by 2030 based on our GDP intensity, gross domestic product, how much we were generating in 2005 GDP level, whatever the emissions, based on the 45% we reduce. And this revision we have done in 2021 during Glasgow COP26, what is something called Conference of Parties 26. That becomes very important. Then 500 gigawatt, right? Non-fossil fuel power generation. That is renewable power, and that solar power, wind power, all these were, even the nuclear power. Right? Recently, government has brought Shanti Act. We are now promoting this private players into small modular reactor, SMR or BMR, Bharat modular reactor. Then that 2.5 to 3, right, billion tons carbon capture by forest. We have Green India mission there, carbon capture by forest and tree. So we have 33% national target to have forest and tree cover. But under the climate change, Paris Agreement, this is what we have to capture by which year? All these are by 2030. By 2030. Then this very, very important thing under this one, this net zero by target by 2070. This we have taken 2070 during COP26 there. And then this mitigation adaptation strategies with the finance, climate finance. And now we have a PM lifestyle for environment mission there. And also we have now adaptation, this one adaptation and mitigation. And India has been continuously asking for more finance under Paris Agreement, UNFCCC, United Nations, right, a framework convention on climate change. So that is where called climate finance. Number of interventions India is now carrying out for meeting the commitment. And one of the very important thing what India is demanding, that as a developing country with other developing countries during COP29 Baku Azerbaijan summit, all the developing countries were demanding for $1.3 trillion climate finance by all Annex 1 industrialized developed countries, which has not been still been worked out there. Then what comes here very important, number of missions, programs are there. Initiatives what India is now doing there. So programs such as, that we are now promoting FAME, faster adoption, manufacturing of electric vehicles, right? Then Government of India is now also promoting this NAPCC. We have started in 2008 National Action Plan on Climate Change. We have 8 missions there, solar, right, water mission, agriculture mission, habitat mission, Himalayan ecosystem, strategic knowledge on climate change, energy efficiency. All this we are doing that one, right? Green building and all these things. So if you look at our net zero, this question you can come in the exam, it can be asked. So here I am not discussing from question answer way with model answer, but I am highlighting the topic for examination there, right? So this becomes very, very important here. So if you look at here, our net zero, let's say question comes on that, okay, how India is going to meet the net zero. So here, this one, National Action Plan on Climate Change. We have 8 missions that we are trying to implement at the national level. So mixed success here, solar mission highly successful, but national water mission is lagging. The water system, ecosystem being affected because of climate change impact, that is missing there. COP29 Baku, very, very important. And now last year COP30, Conference of Parties 30 of Paris Agreement, UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. There is Belém in Brazil, where forest partnership has been brought, because Brazil, Amazon forest, that is the biggest rainforest of the world. So escalated immediate climate finance. But what in Baku summit, this commitment was there. In Baku summit, COP29, if you look at this COP29 Conference of Parties, this can be asked in the climate change COP meetings and the outcomes continuously asked in mains exam. ये पढ़ के जाना है, इस बार का जो बेलम समिट है उसका आउटकम को भी पढ़ के जाना है, अब यहाँ देखो आप, इसमें जो COP29 का अजरबैजान का था, तो यहाँ पर $300 बिलियन जो है US डॉलर, है ना, पर ईयर, है ना, ये क्लाइमेट फाइनेंस का किया गया है पर ईयर टिल 2035, राइट. दैट वाज अ कमिटमेंट, राइट, एज क्लाइमेट फाइनेंस. इसकी बात की है तो डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज हो डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज में देगा. देन यहां पर ये भी है आर्टिकल 6 जो है कार्बन मार्केट एंड नॉन मार्केट मैकेनिज्म, उसकी जो अकाउंटिंग वगैरह जो है, हाउ टू डू द अकाउंटिंग, ऑफ एमिशंस एंड द टारगेट. तो यहां बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज होता है ग्लोबल स्टॉक टेक, GST, दैट एवरी 5 ईयर, है ना, 5 साल में. So 2028 will be their part of the year, right? Their demand was 1.3 trillion US dollar for climate finance. Now, if you look at after this COP30 Belém summit, (2025) in Brazil, है ना. So there, if you look at this summit, Belém, there one is that this very important thing again. They have discussed about the climate finance that developed, and now you know that USA is out of the Paris Agreement. So there is another challenge is the getting the finance. Then again, clean technology is being talked, but here tropical forest, you know, tropical, like India is a tropical country, tropical forest conservation partnership platform was launched here, right. Is another, because indigenous people and all. Then again, you know that loss and damage, what is something called loss and damage fund, and you know most vulnerable countries, they are suffering with that, and this has been talked from previous COPs also there, even during Sharm Sheikh summit, and then even you know Dubai, this Saudi Arabia, so UAE part also came into that. Then again, climate finance, I have mentioned that loss and damage fund and tropical forest partnership that was launched into that. Indigenous people right, and that aspect is there, because they're suffering, they're most suffering because of the climate change impacts. So when you look at here, this one diagram, right? So practicality warning, that is a, so what we are doing is that catalyst in this case, and then you see that requires compensation. And now if you see mechanical bridge, now what we are preparing, we have one of the things which last year came there, CCUS, carbon capture, like those factories or industries which produce a large amount of carbon, like thermal power plant and all those here, right. So capturing the carbon, and through pipe, here is a capture and CO2 gas. Then what is their utilization and storage is a future technology there. So what is here in the thermal power plant or factory, to chimney, the CO2 gas, which is captured by a pipe, right? Either it is utilized in some form in the factory, or it is dumped in the underground subterranean surface where it is locked. Here it can be locked and converted into some fossil fuel. What is something called storage. But what is the thing here? This technology is promising, but fund required is very high. Now, you know, during this budget, government has now provided for development, doing R&D, research and development for carbon capture technology in India. So here, high capital cost, severe energy penalties remain massive bottleneck. So this will, although in budget we have put across this R&D and support by the central government to do the CCUS in India, but the problem is the technology part, and second, the bottleneck is the budget cost, is very costly. But now the work has started. Maybe by 2070, in India's net zero a target, this can really help, right? This technology can help. So here you can expect question in the exam, right? Which I have explained here. This can be a topic there. Now another thing, climate change impact. Again, from India's point to South Asia, I have mentioned that the temperature is getting higher, right? Baseline shift in seasonal temperature is getting higher. Extreme weather events. India is suffering with extreme weather events, like that cloud burst, flash flood, causing urban flooding, changing monsoon pattern. And now this year, El Nino impact, right? Sudden water influx, the flash flood triggered by erratic precipitation, right? Topographical alteration, and also urban drainage failure. You know that if there's a rain in Delhi, half of Delhi get flooded. Chennai flood, Jammu flood, Hyderabad flood. So many examples are happening because of the clogging of the drainage, poor drainage system in urban areas. So this is another topic where you can get question in the exam. Then you can say displacement. I have said coastal areas are vulnerable. Even mountain people are vulnerable. And we will also have climate refugees more in number there. So climate refugees in future, there will be a mass, internal displacement in India due to the coastal inundation and failure in agriculture, drought condition, desertification. What you can see in this map, displacement problem. Extreme weather event that is increasing in India because of warming there. And then public health crisis, I have already discussed. Climate change causing the public health issues, heat wave and all. If you see heat wave, expanding vector-borne diseases, like those zones, extreme heat stress, heat waves, right? They're causing the death and illness. We have already covered these all topics through question answer format. I have already covered that. Right. Now coming to this one, pollution there, urban air quality. GRAP, Delhi's GRAP, Graded Response Action Plan. Every year during the winter, Delhi suffer with severe air pollution. And one of the causes is the burning of stubble by farmers in agricultural land in the neighboring states. But that is not the only cause. There are other factors like construction, demolition work, industries surrounding Delhi, NCR, right? Vehicular pollution, particulate matter PM 2.5, PM 10. So if you look at here, one question, which topic I am highlighting here, where you can get question, GRAP one there. That is the urban air quality. So already you know that Indian Government of India Central Pollution Control Board is now having this National Clean Air Program. Non-attainment cities in India, which have to meet national ambient, there's something called National Ambient Air Quality Monitoring Program by CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board. And there are more than 140 cities and towns in India, which include smart cities also, which have not met the target of reducing PM 2.5 and PM 10 by 40%. So it's a severe problem. And now for Delhi air pollution, GRAP has been launched. That is a Graded Response Action Plan. So one question can be asked in the mains exam, Graded Response Action Plan. GRAP. You know that air quality index, AQI, when it exceeded more than 500. So four parts are there. Red, you can see there. There's maroon, orange, yellow. Now stage 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll go through one by one. Stage 1, poor AQI. So triggers basic restrictions like dust control protocols and absolute bans on waste burning. So when there is a poor AQI based on air quality index during winter, so waste burning is banned. Dust control, spraying by vehicles. You can see that this kind of vehicle, which is on the road, they remove the dust and all. Now stage 2, very poor air quality. Stage 2. So escalates to trigger targeted diesel generator bans. So those areas, buildings, houses where diesel generators are there, that is banned there, right? Parking fees are increased so that people use more public transport, minimize the use of personal vehicle. Stage 3, severe AQI. So there is strict BS3 and BS4 vehicle ban. Older vehicle with Bharat stage, Euro norm of the vehicular emission, BS3, BS4 vehicle ban, immediate brick kiln shut down there. Now stage 4, this is most severe there. Severe plus AQI. Extreme measure enacted like truck entry is banned in Delhi and localized school closure. So this is where graded response action plan is there. But what is here, in spite of that, Delhi pollution which impact health, right, other problems is still continuing there. So systemic, if you look at core flaw is what? Purely reactive thing is that. That means when there's a bad weather in the winter time, when the pollution level goes higher, AQI goes higher, we then take action. Is a reactive. What should be the suggestion? Proactive, right? Reactive. Preventive mechanism requires a transition to year-round airshed management and enforcement stage 1. होना ऐसा चाहिए कि हम हमेशा जब कम AQI है, जब हम स्टेज 1 में पूरे साल भर में हमें उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए प्रिवेंटिव मेजर पे काम करना चाहिए, प्रोएक्टिव मेजर पे काम करना चाहिए. होता ये है कि विंटर आया, हम रिएक्टिव मेजर करते हैं, जैसे जैसे AQI बढ़ा हमने वैसे वैसे ग्रैब को लगाना चालू कर दिया, है ना, बेस्ड ऑन दिस कलर कोडिंग व्हाट यू कैन सी दैट. So that you can write as a criticism. And then what you can give as a suggestion? To that preventive measures, year-round work has to be done. Then stage 1 when is there, that time itself we should be very much taking the strict measures so that stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 does not happen. See, that is what this topic becomes very, very important. ठीक है, तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. जो जो टॉपिक मैं हाईलाइट कर रहा हूँ वो चीज़ आपको पढ़ के जाना है. ठीक है, तो this here question can be asked. Now look at here. Again, urban pollution. Groundwater. What is happening? Dump yard, garbage. जैसे कि गाजीपुर में garbage bin hill है, तो सारा जहाँ भी होता है they leaching to the groundwater, right? So another area could be here this legacy pollution where we have a dump yard. जहाँ पर हम लोग dump करते हैं चीज़ों को, तो क्या होगा, धीरे धीरे groundwater में जाएगा. It will go to the groundwater. So what happens here is that this percolate to the groundwater, what you can see here. And groundwater aquifers will get polluted with the metals, chemicals, which is highly hazardous. So you can see that CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board mandate is that tasked with the regulation. That key deficit lies in localized enforcement capacity and state level coordination. Federalism in India. Although CPCB comes out with guidelines, standards, rules, but then interstate cooperation, interstate or within the state taking the action, that becomes a kind of issue here. So emerging and neglected pollutant, one of the area which I would like to highlight this year mains exam, which you could get question, which are the neglected pollutant area. I have said already e-waste, biomedical waste, this you have to read. Noise pollution, this one. Because of urbanization and all things, we are living in a world where continuously the noise is there. It not only affects our hearing part and our cardio health, because irritation, mental part and all this, but also affect the animals like birds and all. So here, health impact, hypertension, sleep disturbance, right? Evaluated legal framework is what? This noise pollution restriction and control rules under Environment Protection Act 1986. And there you have, declaration of silent zone around hospitals, schools, use of soundproofing, right? Banning the vehicles which produce such kind of noise. In the machinery, we have to control that. Planting of trees which can control the noise. All these measures are taken. A loudspeaker after 10 p.m., right? A restriction on that. All these are there. Then first is this where we have to prepare. Second is light pollution. You can get a question on light pollution because it is continuously in the newspaper. And now a lot of reports have come. Health hazard, blue light has direct impact on human health. We are living in a world of so much of glare, right? Light. Even the night sky, we find the scattering of light in the sky. Not only human health impact, our sleeping pattern, our what is called circadian rhythm. What we call as a circadian rhythm, our body clock, and that have effect on the melatonin, right? Which control our sleeping and waking pattern, that is getting disrupted, and that affect hormonal problem, endocrine problem. Even light pollution has been found to link with cancer in humans. Then light pollution is also causing effect to birds, the birds and animals which migrate, and the young ones of turtles, marine turtles, or young birds which get attracted towards light source. So they may go there and they may be eaten by some feral dogs, turtles, or they may be killed accidentally. Even the birds also may die there, the young ones. So it's a very severe problem, light pollution. So here, sources, commercial display, from where the light pollution comes, commercial displays, municipal lighting, effect, disruption of wildlife migration pattern, like birds and animals in the night, and human circadian rhythms. And here you can write one of the suggestion, dark sky reserve. Ladakh, Henley, right? Henley in Ladakh, it has been declared a dark sky reserve. It's the first dark sky reserve in India, that is in Henley. For astronomical purpose, even it affects astronomy. If the light is there, the proper visual of stars and galaxies cannot be done with ground-based telescopes. So we need clear sky and dark sky. So dark sky reserve in Henley in Ladakh. One more thing, for wildlife, Pench National Park has been declared as a dark sky park. Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra border Pench. There are two Pench tiger reserve. One is in Maharashtra, another in Madhya Pradesh. So there, the Maharashtra government gone for this dark sky park. ये सब करंट अफेयर्स में आया हुआ है, ये सब एग्जाम्पल देना है, तो यू विल गेट द मार्क्स. Light pollution is a very important topic. Then fast fashion, another thing, very important, fast fashion. Textile garment, Ludhiana, Tirupur, where the, garment industries. And now there is demand of fast fashion, t-shirt, those kind of, fashionable dress. And what is the problem with such kind of fast fashion dress? It consumes a lot of water in its manufacturing. Impact, acute water depletion and microplastic shedding. क्या होता है जो फास्ट फैशन बोलते हैं ना, जो कि ऐसे जो आजकल डिज़ाइनर क्लोथ्स आ रहे हैं, टी शर्ट आ रहे हैं, हम लोग महिंद्रा वगैरह से ऑर्डर करते हैं, वो क्या होता है कि वो जो ड्रेस होते हैं उसको बनाने में जो कंजम्पशन वाटर होते हैं बहुत ज़्यादा होते हैं. आपको कुछ जगह है जैसे लुधियाना है, तिरुपुर है, बहुत जगह पे ऐसे फैक्ट्रीज है जो बनाते हैं. और दूसरा यहाँ पर क्या होता है, उसमें प्लास्टिक के भी कुछ इंग्रेडिएंट होते हैं जिसको करके ऐसे फैशनेबल कपड़ों को बनाया जाता है. तो माइक्रो प्लास्टिक जो है वो पानी का जब उसको बनाते हैं तो माइक्रो प्लास्टिक गोज इन द वाटर. तो अगेन दिस पार्ट इज देयर. मिटिगेशन क्या है, शिफ्ट टू सर्कुलर टेक्सटाइल इकोनॉमी एंड इको लेवल. इसका सोल्यूशन क्या लिखोगे आप वे फॉरवर्ड में, कि हम इको लेबल लगा दें कि हाँ ये जो हमने बनाया इसमें कम पानी का यूज़ हुआ है टेक्सटाइल में और ये इन्वायरमेंट फ्रेंडली है, इजिली वो डिस्पोज कर सकते हैं. इट विल नॉट क्रिएट द लीचिंग ऑफ प्लास्टिक एंड माइक्रो प्लास्टिक इन सॉइल एंड वाटर. ठीक है. और सर्कुलर टेक्सटाइल मतलब हम उसको वापस जब पहनने के बाद जब हम फेंक देते हैं, डिस्कार्ड कर देते हैं, यूज एंड थ्रो, तो वापस हम उसको रिसाइकल कर सकें. वी कैन रिसाइकल फर्दर. तो दिस कुड बी अनदर टॉपिक ऑफ द एग्जाम. इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. फास्ट फैशन है ना, कैन बी आस्क्ड. तो आप आराम से लिख सकते हो क्या है इसका मीनिंग, क्या है इसका एग्जाम्पल्स हैं और क्या इससे प्रॉब्लम होता है, वाटर कंजम्पशन, प्लास्टिक वगैरह, माइक्रो प्लास्टिक. और फिर इसको हम क्या सजेशन कर सकते हैं कि ऐसा हम बनाएं कि जो इको फ्रेंडली होना चाहिए, कम पानी से यूज होना चाहिए, लेस वाटर, एंड कैन बी रिसाइकल्ड इजिली, राइट. तो दैट पार्ट वी कैन राइट देयर. नाउ कमिंग टू दिस वन, आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड दैट ग्रेट निकोबार project we have already covered, right. So then I am now coming to this one, deep sea mining we have covered. But now look at here, critical minerals, lithium and cobalt. So lithium and cobalt India import. So critical minerals like and lithium, rechargeable battery, right, laptop, computer, mobile phone. Again, EV, India is expanding FAME program, faster adoption manufacturing of vehicles, electric vehicles. So there, rechargeable battery is required, lithium and cobalt. So that is again here, strategic need. So indispensable for EV batteries, electric vehicle batteries, that is what is required. है ना, तो वो चीज़ यहाँ पर ये चाहिए. And we don't have manufacturing or we don't have extraction in India, so we are importing from outside. Now recently government has gone for this, battery handling and recycling or management rules. तो यहाँ पर क्या green energy transition, because now we are going for such battery based system there, but it has a negative impact, that economic impact. We don't have lithium and cobalt, we have to import, so that is economic impact. And another thing is that after when the electric things which contain such lithium and cobalt based battery system we dispose, it will affect the soil, water and our environment. So we need a proper way of recycling thing, handling recycling. Now government has brought the rule. Environmental risk, what is there? Intense water consumption, toxic tailing runoff and severe soil contamination. Those all critical minerals, let's say wherever we have, it has doing the mining of such minerals, their runoff is there which contains toxic chemicals and toxic metals which goes to the groundwater, river, lakes, pollution, and that cause severe hazard to the aquatic life, and also biomagnification can again affect humans there. Now equilibrium strategy is what is mandate now? Stringent EIA, environmental impact assessment. See, EIA is very important topic, and wherever if you get indirect question environment, so please do mention about EIA. So here stringent EIAs and incentivize circular recycling to balance extraction with ecology. तो हम इसमें क्या कर सकते हैं? ऐसे बैटरी या जहाँ हमें लिथियम कोबाल्ट का है, तो हमें प्रमोट करना चाहिए रिसाइकलिंग को, कि हम उसको वापस जब एंड ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट हम उसको डिस्पोज जब करते हैं तो वो हम वहाँ से लिथियम कोबाल्ट को एक्सट्रैक्ट करके वापस यूज़ कर लें. व्हाट इज समथिंग कॉल्ड सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी, है ना? वी कैन प्रमोट सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी इन दैट केस, एंड वी कैन इंसेंटिवाइज of recycling such kind of a battery or such kind of system through which we can extract lithium and cobalt, such precious minerals, critical minerals. And again, stringent EIA rules for such critical mineral mining when we do the critical mineral mining. So strict rules for environmental impact, and for clearance, it has to see every such impact to the ecosystem, human and wildlife. तो उसका प्रॉपर EIA रूल्स के तौर पे उसका प्रॉपर EIA स्टडी होना चाहिए. प्रॉपर EIA स्टडी हैज टू बी डन देयर, राइट? सो दिस कैन बी वन क्वेश्चन, इंट्रोडक्शन, बॉडी एंड कंक्लूजन. दैट वे यू कैन राइट देयर, राइट? सो आई हैव कवर्ड all these parts which I are part of there, but you should go through it. Certain more thing I would like to just highlight here, and could be important for the exam. Bioremediation part. Now this is another topic you can get, where soil, land, or even water, where we have chemicals or any metals or any pollutants. So through bioremediation we can reduce it, right? So bioremediation, if you look at here, that is a mechanism, right? Please prepare this topic, utilizing biological agents like soil microbes or lab cultured microbes like bacteria and all, which can break down such contaminant, pollutant. You know that oil japper, which break down crude oil or hydrocarbon, is a culture of bacteria, right? So in situ, one is phytoremediation by plant. Trees and plant through root can absorb metals, like eucalyptus. Although eucalyptus take more water as a problem, environmental problem, but they can take up the metals and all this. Even mangroves can take up, right? Wetlands can absorb, their plants can absorb metals. Application highly cost effective for India's context, bioremediation. Like oil japper, bacteria, engineered wetland biofilter. We can make the wetlands which contain such plants, aquatic plants, which basically purify water. So that we can engineer it. That part comes. Mine closure I have already mentioned. Land degradation, very, very important. Desertification, overgrazing, unchecked deforestation, industrial expansion, use of fertilizer, chemicals that degrade the land and cause land desertification. You know that there is a very important convention, UNCCD, United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification under Agenda 21 Rio Summit. So their bottom approach, that grassroots level, the people who are the empowered to combat land degradation and desertification. So severe loss, what happened there with desertification? It causes the land fertility to be lost. Yield of crops will go down. So severe loss of agriculture productivity directly threaten rural livelihood security, and also result into climate refugees, where the people are forced to migrate. So in this case, UN has come with LDN, Land Degradation Neutrality Target. कि जहाँ we have to combat desertification. 1/3 of lands in India is under the grip of desertification. So land degradation neutrality part, proper land management, right? That is what is required, right? So that you can write as a suggestion there. Now look at here, this one, deforestation I have already mentioned. That India is losing we are gaining the forest, but in many places we are losing the forest. So in this context, deforestation, and we have law there, Forest Conservation Act, T.N. Godabaran judgment by Supreme Court there, 1980. We are looking for forest, and central government comes into that. So what is the reason for loss of forest? Expansion of infrastructure, agriculture thing. So 1980 has looks into that. Although we have challenges, so now CAMPA, Compulsory Afforestation Management Planning Authority, right, wherever the tree laws are there, we compensate with the planting of trees. So all these things, what you have covered for your prelims exam, just be prepared with it. When you write answer, talk about central CAMPA, state CAMPA, fund for the afforestation. Now here, man-animal conflict, another very important topic, very important for the exam. Human-animal conflict. There can be direct question that, like, elephant, like South India, the elephant conflict there. Human settlements, and you have a forest. Here you have a tiger, elephant. So what is happening with human settlement? Encroachment. Right, villagers. Slowly what is happening? The urbanization and the growth of the village towards the forest area. So we are getting near to the habitat of elephants, tigers, leopards. So encroachment of such habitat that create a direct conflict with such wildlife, right? So that is now growing problem where the tigers attacking humans, elephants attacking humans, and we also attack elephants in retaliation there. So this conflict has become very severe in South India, right? So here, crisis encroachment forces wildlife into agriculture zones. Some type of food and all the resources they come. And elephant is a migratory animal. They herd, they move around the part of food, water, and their part. Consequence what? Devastating crop loss. Like the elephant damage the crops. Human casualties, they kill humans. Retaliatory killings, we kill elephants, right? Humans kills. So what is mitigation? See, what question you can get in the exam? It will ask you first part, what is man-animal conflict? So that you have to explain with examples. Then body of the answer will be what? Where you will write your causes, encroachment, urbanization, right? Corridor, where corridors there, problems are happening there, all those. Then in the forest, food scarcity, they might come out to the urban areas or villages for food and water there. So, and the last part will be in the question, your mitigation, how we can reduce it. So one thing is the surveillance. We can survey that where the animals are there. Second thing could be what? Early warning system. Give warning to the local people so that there is an elephant movement or something. Wherever the corridors are, the corridor mapping. So we must avoid any kind of infrastructure development, road, highway in the corridors. Or we properly plan the highway so that highway goes above the corridors of elephants and wild animals. Right? Like Mumbai Expressway, it developed like that. Then what is another measure for mitigation? That a warning given to local people when there such movements are there, right? Proper use of technology like drone technology to map the movement of animals, right? Then strict surveillance, strict guidelines, right? If there's any such animals being sighted, people's participation, community participation, they should immediately tell to the forest department, so that such animals can be taken back to the forest, like elephant kind of thing there. So those points you can write in your body of answer as a mitigation. So here is that deployment of early warning systems, securing fragmented corridors, right, where we can remove human pressure, and ensuring rapid financial compensation to people who are killed by elephants or tiger, those people who have been human casualties. The compensation should be given there, right? So this is another thing which you can prepare from the exam point of view. Then I have already mentioned human dimension, that displacement of tribes. But one thing is there, Nagoya Protocol. You could expect question on Nagoya Protocol, CBD, access and benefit sharing. So let us look at here the cost of extraction. That what I mentioned that mega mining project affecting scheduled tribes, social cost and environmental cost. And I've given the example Niyamgiri Hills, bauxite mining, Vedanta, and Dongaria Kond. Now look at here this one, benefit sharing. That is a Nagoya Protocol under Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD, International Convention. And India is implementing this access benefit sharing under Biodiversity Act 2002. BD Act, Indian Government Act 2002, we have this one. So what is here? Here, if you look at this diagram, so whatever resources are extracted from plants and animals, from bioresource, which go to the market, the product is sold in market. So whatever the earning, revenue, profit, a part of the profit should be shared in a fair and equitable manner to local communities which conserve such plants or animals. That is what called Nagoya Protocol. ठीक है, इसमें क्या है, इसका मतलब है कि जो लोकल ट्राइब है या कम्युनिटी जो किसी प्लांट का कंजर्वेशन कर रहा है और उससे हम रिसोर्स निकाल के दवा बना रहे हैं, बाजार में बेच रहे हैं, एंटी कैंसर या कोई भी चीज़ है, जो कंपनी उससे पैसा कमा रही है, मुनाफा, उसका एक हिस्सा उस लोकल कम्युनिटी ट्राइब को मिलना चाहिए जो उसका कंजर्वेशन कर रहा है उस प्लांट का. यही चीज़ है थर्ड ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ CBD. दैट इज अ फेयर एंड इक्विटेबल शेयरिंग ऑफ बेनिफिट्स. तो नाउ ABS mechanism, Nagoya Protocol, has been now implemented worldwide. India is also implementing it. Right. So here, Nagoya Protocol, India leads globally in issuing compliance certificates. तो लोकल कम्युनिटी का राइट है वो रिसोर्स को यूज करना और उनको बेनिफिट मिलना, पार्ट ऑफ द शेयर ऑफ द प्रॉफिट ऑफ द सेल ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट मिलना. मैकेनिज्म क्या है इसका? एक्सेस एंड बेनिफिट शेयरिंग, ABS, ensure indigenous groups are compensated for biological resources. And this is what the third objective of CBD says, that the local people who protect, conserve, manage such resources, bioresources, they should get the compensation in terms of that, whether it's a neem or turmeric, any traditional knowledge, right? They have been doing rice, wheat, whatever. So now we have amended Biodiversity Act in 2021 and 23, we have come out with the rules. So we are now promoting traditional knowledge, and with this Nagoya Protocol, benefit sharing, right? So legal thing is what? Legally empowers local community rights while directly incentivizing grassroots biodiversity conservation. इसका एक और क्या लाभ है कि जब ऐसे लोकल कम्युनिटी को ऐसे पैसे मिलेंगे जो प्रॉफिट का एक हिस्सा और या बेनिफिट शेयरिंग मिलेगा, तो वो इंसेंटिवाइज करेगा वैसे लोकल ट्राइब या कम्युनिटी को कि वो उस पर्टिकुलर प्लांट या जो भी बायो रिसोर्स है उसको और कंजर्व करें. तो इन वन वे it is also very beneficial in promoting conservation of such plants and animals, flora, fauna, biodiversity, from where that bioresource is obtained. Right? So that is what is a very important part where question can be asked in the exam. Right? So this is a very important topic, Nagoya Protocol. Please go through it. All these topics, right? We have given in 120 plus, right? There we have given there. Now the last one, with that will end up the things here. So if you see here, this one, synthesis, the policy implementation friction. So we have, India is having world class, we are developing country, world class, highly detailed environmental framework. We have National Action Plan on Climate Change, Forest Conservation Act 1980, Electronic Waste Rules, GRAP. We are doing a lot of things, pollution control, climate change fight, waste management, wildlife management, Project Tiger, Project Elephant. So many things India is doing that. So policy aspect and program aspect, we are not less being a developing country. But what is here? Economic challenge, the economic one. Strategic mega project resources, they cause the problem there. Systemic exemptions. Capacity deficit is there. Like Central Pollution Control Board does not have enough manpower, enough funding, punitive, and it doesn't have punitive measures to enforce very much compliance. Reactive or proactive. Most of the frameworks are reactive in nature. India requires what? Proactive measures. Right? So true ecological security, remember that, true ecological security requires transitioning from a framework of regulated depletion to one rigid system accountability. अगर हमें अपने देश में इन्वायरमेंट का कंजर्वेशन करना है, हमें बेहतर करना है, तो हम जो भी रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क बनाएं, पॉलिसी प्रोग्राम जो है, उसमें हमें कैपेसिटी, ट्रेनिंग, मैन पावर, एक्सपर्ट्स, बजट, फाइनेंस, सारा चीज, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन जो गैप है उसको फुलफिल करना है. ये आपका कंक्लूजन हर आंसर में होगा जब भी आप इन्वायरमेंट आंसर लिखते हैं, ताकि हम रेगुलेटरी जो होता है ना, रिएक्टिव टू प्रोएक्टिव, हम जा सकें. ठीक है. और वहाँ पर ये चीज़, वन ऑफ द रिजिड जो हमारा सिस्टम अकाउंटेबिलिटी है, हम उसको पूरा कर सकें, ट्रांसपेरेंसी ला सकें. सो दिस मैप व्हाट यू सी हियर, this is what we can use in conclusion of every such question of pollution, climate change there. Okay, we have so many policies, programs, everything. Government is doing everything. But there are bottlenecks are there. One is economic prioritization. We want economic development. We are giving of that. Second, capacity deficit is there. Third, reactive measures, not proactive. So all this has to be taken care so that true ecological thing or true environment protection, sustainable development can be obtained not through just having framework regulation which is not able to fulfill the need of the protection of the environment. Rather, bring the accountability to the system, bring the transparency, and we should implement such framework to really India to become a environment friendly, right? All such topics which are given here in our all few questions which I have discussed in today's session, I have taken from this 120 plus club environment material. So please, all of you who are watching right now, DM us, you will get this copy. मैंने जो क्वेश्चन का मॉडल आंसर डिस्कस किया है और जो टॉपिक्स मैंने बताया, ये सब 120 प्लस क्लब से है. ये बहुत यूजफुल है. इवन जो लोग अगले साल भी एग्जाम देंगे उनके लिए भी काम का आएगा. इसमें सॉल्व PYQ भी दिया हुआ है, फैक्ट शीट भी दिया हुआ है. तो आई विल रिक्वेस्ट दोज हु आर राइटिंग मेंस एग्जाम, दे कैन definitely get hold of this 120 plus club. But even those who are going to write in the next year 2027 and after that, again this is a very resourceful material, and all these questions and all this topic which we have covered in the previous session and today are from here. So I end my environment session here, and I really thank all of you for watching this session. Or I am wishing everyone who are writing this exam this year that all the best, do well, right, and God bless you. आप अच्छे से तैयारी कीजिए, सफलता आपको जरूर मिलेगी. और मैं मानता हूँ ये एग्ज़ाम बहुत आसान एग्ज़ाम है और आप इजीली कर सकते हो, केवल हौसला चाहिए. So do and die, give your best, and you will be able to qualify the exam. Whatever points I have given, whatever the approach I have given, please do that. Revise, read, revise from current affairs magazines. Go through your own study notes and then test series and the model answer. Right, I am very sure you will be able to write good answer in the mains exam. So I am signing off here. I thank IAS Bharat. I thank entire team for this support, and I know that you will make it there. So all the best. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Thank you.